Hey Trekkies, Dan Gunther here. San Diego Comic-Con, of course, going on over this past weekend here. A lot of big Star Trek news coming out of it, and a lot of that I will be sharing with you in the upcoming episode of The Week in Trek coming out this week. However, there was some really big news that I wanted to make a special video for, just a quick video to kind of talk a little bit about some of the stuff we learned about the new Star Trek television series coming next year. So we've learned a few things this weekend from showrunner Bryan Fuller. First of all, the show is called Star Trek Discovery. Very cool title, I really like that. And the main ship of the show looks to be the USS Discovery, NCC 1031. A lot of people have pointed to the fact of the registry number as kind of pinning down where in the timeline it takes place. Of course, that would seem to indicate that it might fall in between the television series Star Trek Enterprise and Star Trek the original series. However, we don't know that for sure. We have seen examples of starships in the past showing up later with very low registry numbers. The Grissom in Star Trek III The Search for Spock had a 3-digit registry number. The Constellation in the original series had NCC 1017. So while this might be a clue as to where in time it's placed, it's not a certainty. So we don't really know for a fact. And in fact, Bryan Fuller has been a little bit circumspect on this issue, not revealing where in time this new series takes place. However, one thing he did reveal is that it will take place in the Prime timeline as opposed to the Kelvin timeline of the last 3 Star Trek films. So that's very exciting. It's really great to be able to get back to the Prime timeline. Now, of course, all of the previous television series and the movies, with the exception of the last 3, have been set in that timeline. And I know a lot of fans are really excited to get back to that. Now, other things that were revealed, things we've kind of known before, but nice to get it right from the horse's mouth. Star Trek Discovery will not be episodic. It will be telling stories like a novel, chapter by chapter. So the entire first season is one story arc that each part is being told as we go. Also revealed at the SDCC panel was this teaser trailer for Star Trek Discovery. So it starts out with this shot here of the sun kind of setting over a planet and this kind of asteroidy moon thing. Now, the ship is called the Discovery, and there's another science fiction property that had a ship called the Discovery, 2001: A Space Odyssey, directed by Stanley Kubrick and based on the Arthur C. Clarke novel. And it had a shot very much like this in the film. So it's very cool. We've got what appears to be an homage to 2001 in here, kind of waiting for the inside joke on the show when the computer tells the crew that it can't open the shuttle bay doors.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
And then the camera pans down and we get our first look here in silhouette of the Discovery. Now, a lot of people online are having very mixed reactions to this ship. It's definitely not a traditional Federation ship that we've seen in the past. However, we have seen something very much like this design before. Ralph McQuarrie's designs for the abandoned Planet of the Titans project in the 70s look very much like this ship. So a lot of very familiar lines here if you compare the two designs. Aaron Harvey is the one who pointed this out. He hosts a podcast on the Trek FM podcast network all about Star Trek in the 1970s, and he's planning on doing an episode about the Planet of the Titans and the Ralph McQuarrie design and all that kind of stuff. So I'll have a link to that in the description. You should check that out. Very cool timing on that. Now, I have to admit, when I first saw this ship in the trailer, I had a little bit of a mixed reaction to it. I wasn't immediately in love with the design. However, after watching it a few times, there's a lot to really like here. There's some very interesting angles that really looks like they'll be able to do some really interesting things with this ship. In particular, I love this shot here, kind of a close-up of the main deflector dish and the neck connecting the saucer to the secondary hull. It looks like we're going to get some very interesting shots. And also, I have to say, this shot from the rear with the impulse engines propelling the ship forward, it looks very cool. There are some really cool angles on this. And then we get this shot of it passing overhead, which I think looks just absolutely gorgeous. Now, a lot of people have been noting online that this ship almost looks like a hybrid between Federation and Klingon design sensibilities. And there might be something to that. If you listen carefully to the music over the trailer as well, a lot of people have kind of thought that it sounds a bit like a mixture of Federation, Starfleet, Star Trek style, and Klingon type themes. So in the movies, the Klingons are associated with harsh notes and clangs and that sort of thing. The only angle of the ship that I was really not in love with is this one from the bottom, which seems to be the shot that's going around the internet a lot. But, it has grown on me. We don't know what purpose this ship serves. It doesn't seem to be a sleek kind of thing that we've gotten used to, but maybe that's reflective of what the series is going to be about and what era it's set in and what the series will ultimately be depicting about what's going on in the Federation and that sort of thing. The point is, we really don't know a lot about the series yet, so it's really hard to determine how this ship fits in with the lore of the show. And finally, one last thing of interest that was picked up on by a lot of people online is the use of this cloaking device sound effect at the end of the trailer, kind of sounding like a Romulan or a Klingon cloaking device engaging or possibly decloaking. Now, is this an Easter egg? Something that ties in closely to what the series will be about? Or did they just go into CBS's Star Trek catalog of sound effects? Again, we're not really sure, but it is definitely a very interesting detail that was picked up by a lot of people. So please subscribe if you haven't already. We'll be bringing lots of new news as we learn it. Still lots to learn, such as casting, the interior design of the ship, what the show is going to be about, the uniforms, the props, all that kind of stuff. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and check out some of our other shows. We do a weekly Star Trek news show called The Week in Trek, and that usually comes out on Thursdays. We're doing a bunch of other stuff like episode reviews. I will be having a review of Star Trek Beyond coming out soon. In the meantime, I did shoot a video with some of the other people involved with this channel, as well as my friends, with kind of just our quick, immediate reaction to the film after we had seen it. So click on it to check it out. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment. What do you think about Star Trek Discovery and the things we learned about it with this latest announcement? We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again soon.